Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel, and today we're looking at Solus by Marc Spelmann and ALAKAZAM Magic, a really interesting and good take on a classic effect that you've probably seen 100 times over, but I think that some of the details and some of the ideas and some of the routine given to you by Marc Spelmann really elevates this effect to new heights, and I can't wait to talk more about it. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Perfect, so you decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about Solus. So what is Solus? Solus is essentially an effect where a named card by a public or a spectator is going to be the only one in the deck of cards. So it's a plot that we all know, but it's dressed up in such a beautiful kind of psychological way that it just hits harder. And there's a few details that he included in this that just make it so much more deceptive and elevate it so much more than other routines, although it has its shortcomings. So yes, he did elevate a lot of aspects, but that also means you have some drawbacks. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to do kind of a quick performance of the effect. I won't go through all of it because it is a performance piece, so it does take a bit of time to do, but essentially I'll tell you I'll go through it quickly. So you'd introduce a deck of cards to your spectators, and then what you're going to tell them is that what you're going to do is a small exercise in memory. So what you're going to ask them to do is you're going to invite a spectator on stage with you, and you're going to ask him to come on the table, cut the deck as many times as he or she wants, or they want. So they're going to cut the deck. And then at one point, you ask them that you're going to now memorize it. So you're going to memorize the exact order of that deck of cards. So you're going to ask one spectator to tell you a suit. Tell me a suit. Clubs. You then take the deck, you pick it up, and you say that you're going to remember all of the clubs. So now you've remembered all the clubs. Now you go to another spectator, you tell them to give you another suit, and another suit, and essentially you do that with all 4 of the suits. So then you tell your spectator that the deck has been fully shuffled by them and, cut, and you try to remember the exact sequence of cards in this deck. And you're going to give yourself one last look, just like that, and you tell them that you're going to be able to tell them any card in the deck. So you're going to ask one spectator, you're going to tell them, perfect, so I'm going to give you here the reds and the black cards. So I want you to imagine that in one hand you have the reds and in one hand you have the blacks, right? You're going to hand either the reds or the blacks to the person next to you. What are you going to hand them? The reds. Perfect. So hand them the reds. Now, perfect. Now you have the red cards. I want you to split them in 2 piles again, one on your right, one on your left. One has the hearts and one has the diamonds. We're going to throw one of them. Are we going to throw the hearts or the diamonds? We're going to throw the hearts. Perfect. So just throw them away and hand the diamonds that are left to the person next to you. Perfect. So now you have the diamonds in your hand. I want you again to separate them in 2. You have all the evens and the odds. Which ones do you want to keep? So which ones do you want to give to the other person? Which ones do you want to give to them? You want to give them the evens. So throw away the odds, give them the evens, exactly as you said. Now, among the even cards, you have the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and the queen. Which one do you want? The card that you choose is going to be the card that I'm going to try and remember. You want the 6. So the 6. So through all of these choices, we end up on the 6 of diamonds. You've made all these choices as a group, as a collective. And the 6 of diamonds. So the 6 of diamonds is... So I saw a 6 towards the top and 1 towards the bottom. I think the 1 towards the bottom is the 6 of hearts. So that isn't that one. But the 6 of diamonds was towards the top, but not exactly at the top, but close. It was... ninth. It was ninth. It was the 9th card. So the 6 of diamonds is the 9th card. And look, we're going to count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this here would be the 9th card. If this worked, that should be the 6 of diamonds. And it is the 6 of diamonds. Thank you. But I'm going to be honest with all of you. This was all a lie. I never actually memorized this deck. This was never about me memorizing the deck. It was all about influence. It was all about the subconscious. Because if I would have told you that I'm going to influence all of you, you would have maybe tried to make it hard on me. You would have maybe put your guard up. You would have maybe thought of something a bit more difficult. You maybe would have challenged me. But if I tell you, oh, I'm just going to show you something with memory, you're looking to help me out. You're more susceptible to influence. And you ended on the 6 of diamonds, which is exactly the card that I was trying to influence you on. And I promise you, because if you look here, you could have selected any other card, but all of these cards are jokers. You could have named any one of these cards, but these cards are all jokers. You could have even had any of those. You instruct even your public or your spectators can go there. They can look at them. They're all jokers. Every single one is a joker, except for one card, the 6 of diamonds. So that's essentially a performance of Solus by Marc Spelmann. That's the effect. I think it's absolutely great. It's a fooler, and I think that it's incredible. And I'll tell you why it's incredible in a moment, okay? Because it is not about the effect, it is about the plot that he uses and the way he devised it. So now let's talk first about where do you buy this, how much does it cost, and what do you get? So you can buy this as of now exclusively at ALAKAZAM Magic, which is where I bought mine. If you want to buy it there, down below, there's a discount code. It will set you back 44 Canadian dollars, which if I had to guess is around, I think, 30 pounds, maybe 35 US dollars, around that bullet range. Since my website is in Canadian dollars, it automatically converts it. But I think it's around that price. And what you get is this. You get this box. Inside of this box, you get a small slip, which has your instructional video on it. It has live performances. It's with Marc Spelmann. He explains to you everything that you need to. It's well shot. It's around an hour long, the perfect length. You get everything that you need with to know about this effect. Then you also get your deck. So your deck is gimmicked. It's a deck of cards that is gimmicked. You probably kind of anticipate how it's gimmicked. But it is gimmicked to perform the effect, so it's provided to you. And what's nice is that once you know how this works, you can easily make your own once one wears down. So you don't have to keep rebuying the effect. Once you know the idea and you own the effect, you can easily remake your own without much hassle. So now that you know all that, I want to talk about why this is so much better than other effects on the market. Now, there are some constraints here. There is some constraint, as you may have guessed, with the process of selecting a card, because I wanted to make that clear. There is some constraints there. So it is not any named card that can appear in the deck. So that is a constraint compared to other effects, because if you look at other effects like All Alone by David Regal or a bunch of others, any card can be named, but the deck cannot be inspected whatsoever. What this routine has managed to do is let the spectator cut the deck, or spectators cut the deck multiple times. Then at the end, it lets you spread the cards on the table, show that they have the only card, show all the jokers. Then it has this beautiful moment where you can just say, but it's not only these cards that are jokers, those cards are jokers. And that is the first beautiful moment, because the spectator that was here with you the entire time can reach out, take these cards, and he can even hand them out to inspect. And it shows that pretty much it is the only card and that they're inspecting it. And I feel that's such a beautiful moment that basically hides the method so well and makes it such a beautiful piece. But to me, the best moment of this routine is in its scripting. And I think that more recently I've been diving into and buying more theoretical books around magic and mentalism and more theoretical downloads. And the way that Marc Spelmann has dressed this effect to make it play out as a memory stunt and then switch it around a 180 to an exercise of influence, I think is the most devious and beautiful way of performing this effect. Because you essentially show a skill that probably all the spectators in the audience think you're never going to be able to do. So if at the end of the show they're going to come and give you a deck and tell you memorize this, you're probably not going to be able to do it. Which basically makes your deception a lie and makes your skills essentially shot down. Whereas if at the middle of the routine you shape and you tell them, I lied to you. So you state the obvious, I lied to you, puts everyone on their seat. What? And then it puts the people that didn't believe in you and be like, I knew it, but why? Why did you do that? And tell them it was to influence you. You got them. And I feel that's such a beautiful spin of the story and the narrative that just elevates this beyond so many other effects. And I think this paired with the, can you check those out as well? Kills spectators. I performed this, the first time I performed this, as with many effects, I performed this to my mom and dad. They're my harshest critics. They tell me if something is bad, they tell me this is garbage. If something is good, they love it. This floored them. And my dad is a grabby spectator. He's more like a heckler. He kind of became a heckler. He tries his best to make things fail. And when I told him, and what about those cards? I could see on his face that he was floored. When he took those cards and inspected them, he was floored as to this effect. So that's the biggest praise that I could give it. So knowing that, because I really wanted to point it out, why this is worth your money and why this is such a beautiful effect, is because of the way that he narrates the effect, structured it, and the way that he kind of made it play out, I think is exceptional and elevates it beyond anything. So having said all of that, let's get into difficulty. So how difficult is this to perform? This is relatively easy to perform. It uses classic mentalism principles that you probably already know, that you probably already guessed from my performance. It is super simple to perform. It requires basically no sleight of hand almost. It requires no memorization. You don't have to memorize anything really. All that it requires is a bit of presentation, a bit of patter, a bit of engagement, and just selling it to be as real as it could be and as fair as it could be, and nothing else really. It is very, very simple to perform. In essence, in my opinion, it's very simple to perform. Moving on now to practicality. What do you need to perform this? Well, you need your deck of cards and that's it. So you just take this deck of cards, you place it in your pocket or in your bag or wherever, and you're good to perform the routine. You would also maybe need a bit of table space just to place the deck, right? But it's nothing too difficult. You just need, I would say, probably this much table space, right? So probably just like a quadrant like this just to place your packets and have the deck cut. You don't need a major space. You can definitely do this at a crowded table as well without a problem whatsoever. So that's no worry as well. Then inspectability. I talked about it. You are essentially letting them inspect in the fairness that they're doing by shuffling everything and then letting them inspect some of the cards kind of dispels what's not inspectable, because you may have guessed not everything is inspectable here, right? So you have to keep that in mind. But I think that the way this is structured makes everything feel inspectable. If someone goes and tells the story of what happened, they're going to say, this guy told us he was going to memorize the deck, but he lied to us so that he could influence us to one card. And I shuffled, I cut, and I even inspected the cards. And the card that was on the table and that we named is the only one. That's what they're going to say. That's what they see in reality. So no, it is not fully inspectable, but it feels like it is because some of it and most of it is inspectable. Regarding repeatability, if you repeat this from table to table to table, the outcome will be different, but it will always be narrow. And I can't say too much to expose the method, but it will differ, but not much, okay? That's all I could say. So you have to keep that in mind, but this is more of a performance piece, as I said, for parlor or for bigger stages or for a really good group. I don't think this is a walk-around piece performance, in my opinion. Except for that, angle-wise, pretty much, I'd say 360, as long as there's no one like below you, you're pretty much good for a 360 angle. And yeah, so that's all I can say about practicality. Moving on now to where to perform. So where do you perform this? I think you can get away with Solus pretty much anywhere. You can do this stage, parlor, cabaret. You can do this walk around if you want. I wouldn't do it every table or at a restaurant. I won't do it at every restaurant table, but I think it is doable in those scenarios, and I do think it's still going to play well. Definitely doable casual, definitely doable on Zoom, on internet, online, definitely doable one-on-ones, or if someone just asks you for something and you have this on you, definitely doable. So it's pretty much, you can do this pretty much anywhere. So, having said all this, what are the positives and negatives of Solus? So, what are the negatives? The only negative that I have with Solus is, again, because it is so fair in certain regards, it has to be unfair in others. And the thing is that if you perform this at a venue and you do table to table to table, essentially, they're going to realize that it is very much always around the same ballpark. But since you are dressing it as an exercise in influence, I mean, it kind of plays out like it's supposed to, right? But I know for some people having different outcome is important, but with this you can't really. However, if you want, you can make your own deck with other things, and you can have different outcomes if you so wish. But that's up to you. So that's the only negative. What are the positives? One, the instructions are great. The routining behind this is great. The psychology behind this is great. What you get in terms of props is great. It's easy to do. It's practical. You can do it in a lot of scenarios. It plays big to an audience. It plays big to a small group of people. It is really well-structured routine. You can even make your own once you have this, so you don't have to keep buying the same one over and over and over again. And yeah, it is a great, great, great routine and effect. So would I recommend it, and what do I rate it out of 10? Would I recommend it? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're a mentalist, or you do any type of mentalism, or you want to do something like this in your card magic, I think this is worth a buy immediately. I think this is absolutely great. It is deceptive. It is ingenious. It is great. And I think that you will not be disappointed with your purchase. I heavily recommend this. What would I rate it out of 10? I'm giving Solus by Marc Spelmann a 9.5 on 10. It is an incredible mentalism effect. The only reason it's not getting more is because it's not a unique effect. I probably own 12 other gimmick decks that do the exact same thing. But the way that Marc did it and the way that he dresses it is better than others, but it is not a breakthrough in the methodology and technology of how this works. But even then, it is so close to being it. It is great. Gets all my commendations and my applause, a very good effect. So, having said all that, if you have any additional questions, leave them down below. If not, I'll see you in my next review. Have a good one, and bye-bye.